Welcome
Streams
back.
live.
Welcome back to Still Talking Uncut. I'm your host, Big Easy, joined by Sean Rigsby. I know it's been a while, but sometimes you need a little break. And the holidays all fell on the wrong days, whatever. But anyways, we're here. We're back. We'll see y'all every week from here on out. And we had to be 1 minute late. That was Sean's fault. You got to come back the way you left. So we got special privilege tonight, man. My man, Big Chuk, moonshiner, musician, and newest star of the hit TV show Moonshiners. Love
What's
watching
up?
you
What's
on there.
up?
How you
Thank you,
doing,
man.
brother?
Thank
Welcome to
you.
the show.
Oh man, I'm doing all right. How y'all doing?
Hey, can't complain. Could always be worse.
Could always
Yeah,
be better,
But
hey,
we
just
upright, we upright and we breathing. So that's all that
yeah.
matters.
Half full, half empty, however you want to look at it, huh?
Yeah, I'm right.
so
So
tell us.
how you been, Sean? How you been? Staying
Busy.
warm?
Yeah. For now, I mean, it's supposed to get cold here.
It's
Sun is it? Does it start Sunday?
I don't know. It's been cold here for a couple weeks.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to get in the
Shit.
single digits and then the negatives.
Yeah.
We had about 3 inches of snow, and it was almost a state of emergency in Arkansas because we panicked, man. We're not
Yeah.
we're not prepared for the cold. Like so, when it snows down here, we start shutting shit down. Grocery stores get raided. It's a serious ordeal down here when it gets cold.
Infrastructures, man. Like where we live, they pump millions of dollars into that infrastructure to handle snow and ice, and so if you don't barely get it, why waste the money on it? So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
anyways, so we're gonna start the show how we always start. What you drinking on over there, Big Chuck?
Shit, that's sweet tea.
Spiked sweet tea.
Yeah, I got a jar though.
Nice.
I got some corn over here,
I want to
but
try that cat liquor.
hey, man, it's interesting.
Try
It's
what?
real
It is.
interesting.
I bet it is.
I will tell you this though, like for anyone that wants to try it, because it's legit. If you try them out, if you go find these little shoots, they're about to start sprouting. I don't know how common they are in your neck of the woods,
They're
but
pretty common up here.
yeah. So find them when they're just a foot and a half, 2 foot tall. Cut off one of those little shoots, clean it, and just taste the end. It'll look like a green onion, and just try that, and it'll blow your mind the flavor that's in those little things.
Nice. I ain't gonna lie. When I was a kid, somebody was like, "Man, that's a corn dog," and I tried that some bitch. That ain't no corn dog, man.
Yeah, yeah.
It ain't no
Yeah,
corn
leave that
dog.
part alone up there. You got to get down to the bottom of it, and then the root system. It's pretty crazy. That part, now that it's aired, man, that was a disgusting place to be. First of all, so like that's a runoff from the interstate there. If you see that overpass, that in there is nothing but like old tarry type mud and shit. So, but it was where we knew where there was an abundant amount.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
Hey,
disgusting, man.
turned it. He made magic. Make magic out of a mess. You can't really complain. So,
No, yeah.
what you drinking on over there, Sean?
Well, actually, it's a mix of Yoo-Hoo and Sugarland's peanut butter.
Nice,
Mm.
Kind of tastes like well, actually, it tastes just like a Nutty Buddy.
That sounds
nice.
pretty good, actually.
So, I'm drinking on. My buddy Bean hooked me up with a jar of Purple Jesus. I haven't tried it yet. So,
Let me know what you think.
man, that tastes like bike week.
What's Bike Week taste like?
Shame and regret. So- oh man,
There's a backstory behind that.
there is.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, we know. I've been waiting a month for that. I've been waiting a month for that one. So thanks, Bean. But no, I'm drinking on our buddy Georgia boy. He sent me and Sean. He sent us some muscadine. I'm sipping on his
Yeah.
muscadine. I tried it.
The
I
wine
never
or the
had
brandy?
Yeah, muscadine brandy. I haven't ever had muscadine before, and so I'm not real sure what it's supposed to taste like, but I like it. So,
Hey,
well
I
done.
just picked up 500 pounds of muscadines. A chick and a guy owned a little farm, I guess, down here, and they had a whole bunch, and I guess they didn't sell them. They're all frozen. So I literally got muscadines at everybody's house I know right now in their freezers because I don't got
Nice.
enough freezer space.
I got a deep freezer full of peaches I picked up at the end of the season because I'm like, man, I don't know when I'm going to need them, but damn, they get expensive in the winter here. So at the end of the season, I buy up 100 pounds of peaches.
Hey, and even those fresh ones, even when they're frozen, man, they still got a way better flavor. I don't know if you've ever just went and grabbed some of those little frozen ones from like Walmart or whatever and tasted one. They literally have zero flavor at all in them. No flavor.
Yeah, you get them fresh and freeze them yourself. Something about when they flash freeze them, I think it definitely changes. It changes everything about it. So,
yeah, we were messing with them a couple weeks ago, and it just tastes like little ice cubes. They didn't even have any flavor at all in them. They were still kind of frozen, you know.
Yeah, like you get the big bags of mixed, flash frozen fruit, and they don't have that same punch as if it was fresh.
Yeah.
And I've used canned peaches. Wintertime, you can't really get peaches, and they're good flavor, but man,
canned peaches are way on another level than those frozen ones. They suck.
It ain't the same though, man. It ain't the same as that fresh fruit. Just something about it.
Yeah.
That I like to beat my fruit with a 2x4. So that's my thing.
Get you a hoe out there, man.
Fuck you, Sean. So we'll go ahead and tell the hoe story here. So, me and Sean, we're hanging out, and we got a buddy over, and we're messing with some apples, and I got Sean stirring them, just messing around. And then so we get our buddy. We're like, hey, buddy, beat up these apples with this hoe. And so he's beating up these apples. I had already beat the hell out of these apples and enzymed them and everything. And he's working these apples for like 10 minutes. And he's like, man, is this really necessary? And I'm like, no, it's not, man. Sean's just fucking with you, bro. And he's like, are you fucking serious? It's like, yeah, he's just fucking with you. And then, so after that, they're adding sugar and I'm stirring with this hoe. And so a few days later, I'm making fun of our buddy about mixing with a hoe. And I realized, like, this motherfucker Sean had me mixing with that goddamn hoe. And he had a paddle hanging on the wall. And, like, I remember seeing this paddle hanging on the wall. And I could have used it, but it didn't register. Like, hey, man, grab that and mix it. It'd be a hell of a lot easier. So, and what goes around comes around. But I did get Sean back because I had a hot glowing red keg. And I'm like, Sean, pick that up and help me dump this in there. And he picks it up with these leather gloves on, man. He burnt the shit out of himself.
Man. We
smoking.
Last time we mashed in these big old juice totes, and I don't ever usually cut that center hole out. And we had a little paddle down yonder last couple weekends ago or so, and the paddle broke. We're out in the woods, and all we got after that is a big PVC pipe. So it was just literally Joe Boy was standing up on top of it with the PVC pipe duck there, and he's just like he's ringing a bell with it, because you don't got very much motion, you can just only pivot it around. And I was like, you got to get that corn, because we just had the corn just sitting in the bottom when we poured it over water. So you're having to break up sugar and corn and everything. I'm like, you got to jab at it, You
got to jab at PVC. Don't do crap. And you can try to mix it all you want. And when it's a hefty amount, man, it don't matter how much you mix. So.
And it's got that hollow point, so corn's just packing up in it the whole time, and you just every once in a while you got to pull it out and shake it loose and all that. So it's a
jam it down in there and it shoots liquid up in your face. Been there, man. Been there. But Sean got me on that, so I made him burn himself. And then before he burned himself, we're sitting there and he comes walking out and he's like, "Man, I dropped my cell phone in the worm." And I was like, what? He's like, bro, I dropped my cell phone in the worm. And so I go in there, and a little earlier it wasn't so hot. And I see his phone down in there. I'm like, well, shit, man. Buddy's phone's in there. He's looking for something to get it out with. I just reach right in and grab it. Yeah, he was looking for the hoe to dig his phone out.
The all-purpose tool.
It is. It does everything. It don't mix for the shit, though. And so I reach into the worm, and, third-degree burn myself. I get his phone. I'm like, here you go, bro. And, like a week later, I got skin flaking off my arm and shit. So, he didn't make me do that.
You ain't no real moonshiner unless you done been burnt by the pot before, though,
You're damn right. Our buddy over there that we had mixing with the hoe, he's like, man, y'all are dangerous. We're like, hey, man, if it ain't sketchy, I don't want no part of it, bro. If you ain't getting hurt, are you learning anything?
Yeah.
So,
Definitely ain't have no fun, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But
Damn right.
so tell us a little bit about how you got started, man,
Yes, sir.
and just a little bit about
Well,
yourself, your background, and all that fun
well,
shit.
I'm Big Chuck. I'm from Arkansas. Man, I grew up where I'm from. It's just it's the bottom part of Arkansas. It's similar to Louisiana. You know, a lot of swamps, a lot of cypress trees and stuff like that. Big timber, a lot of river bottoms. It's a little Missouri River system. So I mean, I just grew up around here, you know, and obviously, you know, growing up in the '90s, you know, rap was a big part of the culture. So you know, I just kind of it wasn't cool, I guess, at a time to rap country or even rap really for me. You know what I mean? And finally, you know, I say probably 10, 12 years ago, I just started doing country music and infusing it with rap, and it kind of it took off a little bit, nothing crazy, you know. And I had a lot of fun. I toured for a couple years, nationally, internationally. I've been all through Canada and stuff, and then I kind of, but the fascination for moonshine starts there, you know, because like I guess link it back, like my grandpa was. He used to ferment things, make wines and beers and stuff like that. Never ran liquor, but and not even on
Would,
like a go ahead.
yeah, would you be a part of that when he would ferment wine and make beer?
Yeah, and it was a little like it was like one of those things like where he would tell me like you ain't supposed to be doing this and stuff like that, but I was still you know, I would pay attention, and he even had a little setup in his bathroom. And when I would stay there and I was a kid, I'd go in there and like lock the door, you know, and go in there and I'd play with the little cap on the beer and smell it and taste it and all that kind of stuff. And now when I say this is liquor he's making, he ain't making no, you know, this ain't no something that you'd be like, oh, all the right ingredients. I'm talking about he'd have bread stuff down in these beers and stuff for the yeast. And it
Hmm.
was gross, man. But he didn't really do it though for you know making money purposes. He did it more because
Yeah,
he was a drinking man and he was
yeah.
trying to just supply his
Saving
own
money.
habits. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
yeah,
saving money. You know, like it's definitely a lot cheaper
absolutely,
to make your own alcohol, no matter what it is.
yeah. And I mean, so from there, like, and then you infuse country rap. It's like everybody's toting around mason jars, and every song has got moonshine in it. Everything, and you know, like when I step into the country rap space, there's not a just, but there's just a handful of us. You know what I mean? Really doing it
Mhm.
at that particular moment. And so the it was able to just explode the way it did because it was a rare commodity, you know, and people were the whole mud park thing kind of, if you want to know the truth about it, the mud park thing really took the moonshine stuff to the next level and it took the music stuff to the next level because it was this breeding ground for this country culture, you know, and moonshine's always been a staple in our history, you know what I mean? And so yeah, just seeing people drinking that shit at these shows and all that, and I'd be like, hell, I found the dude that was down there making it. He was just doing a little pure grain alcohol and mixing it with like Kool-Aid and stuff, you know, and was
Yeah, just
making a killing
making a
out of
Yep.
mixed
there.
drink. I mean, that
Yeah,
like let's be for real. It don't matter if you're in a legal distillery or if you're in the backwoods. You're going to sell 1,000 flavor jars for every one jar of clear you sell.
damn
And
right, man. It's
people
a
want it
novelty.
sweet. Yep, they want it sweet and they want to enjoy it. You know, want to enjoy it all night. They want to have a good time. If you're drinking a jar of 120, you ain't enjoying it all night. You know,
No,
you're you're
no,
in
I
and you're
tell
done.
everybody, man, when they get these jars right here, I tell people, man, I said, now they were like, man, how strong, you know, because people, it's a misconception. Like if they're not
Mhm.
into moonshine, they're like, how strong is it? Like that's a good quality. I'm like, man, if I sold you a jar of 150 proof, you would never come back for no more because you'd get so damn drunk off of it. You know what I mean? That you'd have this like I'll never drink again effect with it. You know, so it ain't no sense in all that high proof shit. It's a good quality 100 proof liquor is good enough for anybody.
That's
You
what
know?
it's for enjoying. You know, you always get
Yeah,
that one person like, I don't drink it unless it's under 130 proof.
Then you
If it
hand
ain't
them 100.
130 proof, I ain't drinking it. And it's like, bruh, you ain't drinking all night at 130 proof. Like, what are you doing with it? You know, mixing it with Coke or, you know, putting it
yeah,
over ice. Like you diluting it. You know, like it's
yeah.
to
I
me,
will tell you, man.
it's made to be enjoyed.
Strong moonshine is just like a strong like edible or something. You know, it's all fun and games until you drink really strong moonshine. Like as and you take a really strong edible. You know what I mean? Like the thought of
Oh
it's
yeah.
dope, but like to get really drunk on moonshine, I know y'all have been. Like it ain't no, because it's so smooth and you know how good it tastes, shit. And then and next
Especially
thing you know,
you get a nice brandy, it starts flowing like water,
I'm
man.
telling you, and you're
Sweet.
drinking 100 proof alcohol. You know what I mean? So like you're gonna get drunker than hell. You know what I mean? And you're never gonna want to drink again if you get that drunk. I've been there, and it's just like, yeah. So I tell people, man, you throw some fruit in it, and make it look pretty, and make a pretty color, boy, they just line up out the door, won't
Yeah,
it?
well, we buy with our eyes. That's the first thing you buy with,
Yeah.
and that's
But
why
yeah, that's
flashy
where
stuff
it kind
sells.
of it's where it kind of jumped off at, the fascination with the lucrative side of it. Because at the time, there wasn't a glamorous lifestyle I was living. I was just struggling, like getting by. Those shows started off really good, then they taper down. Then it's like a low paying job at that point, but it's fueled by passion. So you're like
Mhm.
destined. You're like, I can't fail. I can't give up. And so so the moonshine was very lucrative for me. And then that's where I seen that guy. He's buying this alcohol. He's telling me how much he's paying for it. And I'm like, huh. You know what I mean? I wonder if I could do that, Here we are.
Nice. So that's what got you intrigued into making liquor. Where'd you start at? Like, what size pot? What size pot was your first one that you and then was you solo or was you double cousin in on it with you? I got me a double cousin too, so I dig that.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, no, man, I started off, I think like most people, and got one of those little pots like I think you do videos on them or whatever, them little old stock pot steels, and all
Yeah,
that.
look, the Vevers. Yeah, hey man,
And bro, I made my mash and all that, and I sat by that son of a bitch for 12 hours and got a quart jar full of liquor. And I was like, hell no. I was like, this ain't gonna work, man. I said, shit, I'm just gonna go buy pure grain alcohol at this point. Shit.
I'll go
And
buy some Everclear.
yeah, and I mean I tried about 2 or 3 times with it, and I was like, man, this is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like it'd be okay, I guess, if I wanted to drink the shit or something, but it would
Yeah.
only spit out like 180 proof liquor, and it was just like so fiery, and I was just like, man. So then I started getting fascinated with designs. I think I went to like a 20, then I stepped up to a 50, then I got a little 100, and then Joe Boy kind of comes into frame. Joe Boy's with me the whole time. That's my double cousin that's on the show with me, and he was on the road as my merchandise guy back then, and that was our whole little business operation. So he now, when he steps in on the manufacturing side, getting interested in that part of it, then that's when we start, because he knows how to build shit and do all kinds of cool shit. That's when we start getting a little creative with stuff. So, and then thousands of dollars later and multiple mistakes and all kinds of stupid purchases, we are neck deep in copper pots laying everywhere and stainless pots and all kinds of shit, man.
Hey, I always say you learn a lot more about yourself and what you do from your failures than you ever do from your successes.
Yep.
Oh, you're damn
The
right,
more,
man.
don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. And even as somebody who has been shining for a long time, you're still going to make mistakes. If I might
Yeah.
drop your phone in the worm, you never know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
you might mix a tote with a hoe. You just never know what kind of mistakes you're gonna make.
I'll tell you, when I first got started, this is kind of embarrassing even to tell, but I had a little 20 I'd purchased one time that had the little electric element in it, and I was just now toying with it. And man, I was trying to run, and I was putting my distillate back in there, and I was gonna run it again, and I wasn't thinking, man, and I had that pot already on, and I took that distillate and just dumped it over on top of that hot coal, and it was inside of a garage, and it shot a damn 40-foot flame up through the damn roof, man, and I almost thought I died right there. And I don't even know what I was thinking. It was the stupidest mistake ever, but man,
You only make that once.
yeah, exactly. I would have
you're
never.
at the beginning. You've never used electric before. You
Yeah.
don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you just
And
don't
my
know.
mind just wasn't like, put your water in there first or whatever you're gonna put in the pot with it. I was like, well, it's a coal. It ain't going in. Boom, boy. I mean, it blew the bucket out of my hand like gasoline. And so I had a new respect, because I wasn't really, propane, it demands respect. If you've ever ran one of them big triple jet burners or something, man, you see the power there. Like you could really mess something up if
You
you
can
ain't
hear it.
paying attention.
Melt your
Oh man,
floor.
Yeah, you
I
can melt
got
your
one
floor.
damn right. I got one that I got from I seen the damn dude that does all that cooking on TikTok bought it. He's selling them or endorsed them or something. They're from Bullen. Said it'll boil 15 gallons in 5 minutes or something like that.
Jet
And so I
burners are
bought it.
badass, man.
Oh, bro, it'll shoot a damn 6 foot purple flame like you ain't never seen it. But you talk about running a big pot on it. You know, everybody thinks it's fun and games. Like you'll get you a 110, 150 gallon pot, and you get that summit start. You know how your thumper dances on a small still. Imagine on a big one. It's real, man. Like you better have it on your mind. If you ain't got everything lined up just right and all snug, that big thumper goes to gyrating on you and steam starts shooting and you're out there pasting and trying to wrap shirt. It's intense, you know. So I got a lot of respect for the propane and an electric too, because I've obviously almost burned my face off with it. So
Hey, that's how we learn, man. So that or if you're running it, you know, and if your distillate in there drops below your element, you're gonna have an explosion. Kind of like what happened to Sean's
man.
Octagon pot.
Yeah, I had sold one. Well, it went to a distillery in Dayton, and he was posting pictures and shit right after he had it, you know. And then it was a couple years down the road, and then he posted pictures again, and it was just this big, great, big, round fucking barrel. So I texted him. I said, "Hey, man, what happened to that Octagon pot?" He's like, "Well, about that." He said, "I was doing some rerunning, and I forgot to add water to it."
There you
And
go.
the element got exposed and it peeled the top of that fucking Octagon pot.
Oh God. See,
Yeah.
yeah. It's scary,
man,
man. I'm telling you, I've
gotta give it the respect it deserves, man, or you're gonna have a bad time. So it doesn't matter what
man,
you're
I'll tell
doing.
y'all,
So.
just keep watching the show and you'll see some real shit happen later on if they choose to air it. I'll say that. I won't say nothing else, but real mistakes really do happen to this
They
day.
do,
I'll just say
man.
that.
You know, I still make my fair share of mistakes when it's rolling, you know, and sometimes you get comfortable, you know, and you get a little comfortable and you overlook some small detail, and that's all it takes, you know.
Well, when you're running like old school, you know, and you're doing the old school, just putting your fittings together and pasting and all that, and you're running with a partner, that is where it gets confusing. Because if someone's pasting and the other one's, you know, doing something else, and all of a sudden they come over there and start joining pasting, then they get distracted and go back over yonder, then you just assume things are done. It's like, so when you're working that partner bit on an old, like if you're trying to do old school style, you know, you got to really be locked in and like, what did you finish that? Did you do it right? You know, because man, I'd have made some mistakes, and you know, you like to kind of know where everybody's at. It's a whole nother game when you got tri clamps and all that, you know, which I prefer that method. I mean, to hell with paste and pipes and shit, man.
Yeah,
Hey,
I run a
cool.
pace still. It's cool. You're right. It's cool. It's fun a few times. It's all right to to feel your roots and like where it all came from. But at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
man, give me some tri clamps and let's keep it's a lot safer. It's definitely a lot
Damn right,
safer.
man.
You know, vacuum release valves and all that shit, so you don't Landry
No,
still.
Landry valves.
And
if he's watching, love you,
and
brother.
we got a buddy who's afraid to run his pace still, so we bust his balls about it all the time. Oh, there he is. So, you know, let's talk a little bit about you're a musician, country style rap. You know, I've seen a few of your things. You know, I enjoy what you do, man. Keep doing it. When you first got into it, like, what made it really take off for you? You know, like at what point did you know, like, man, this is what I want to do? And you said you've toured. You know, where how far have you toured around? Has it just been a state thing in other states? You know, I'd like to hear a little bit more about your you know, you're a man of many artists. You know, you're an artist and a moonshiner. You're an artist as a musician.
Yeah, man. So I guess, you know, starting off, I made a song. It's kind of like now, trust me when I tell you, I played a long time,
Yep.
but I got to when it started kind of coming together, it was really just one song that I released. And this is, Facebook, when it's early in the Facebook days, and MySpace is still kind of on the tail end of its of going out, And so I just literally we made this song called Country Boy Style. And the irony of it all, like the producer that made the song was a friend of mine that had moved off to California. I accidentally call his phone, assuming him to be my cousin when I call, and he's like, and he's got a real distinctive voice. And I was like, man, that's crazy talking to you. I've been writing these country rap songs. And he's like, I've been making country rap beats. So boom, boom, we get together, and we released the song, and I put it on Facebook, and then I go on about my business. I'm working at the time and all that, and I go to work and come out, and there's like 400 plus notifications on my Facebook. Now, mind you, on my Facebook, I only had like probably 50 friends on there at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't post anything. I just tried it out.
And this is early. It ain't like now where it's reels and your reel can take off and you have 100,000 followers. And
exactly. This was literally just me being, just adventurous and just saying, what the hell, let me try it, and I just start checking all the notifications. There's messages, there's all kinds of stuff. And literally in those messages was a message from a guy named Al Lambert Jr. He hosts a few hunting shows. He's a cameraman. He does a lot of stuff with Aaron Lewis and the Rascal Flats dude and all that kind of stuff. But he used to do the entertainment at a River Run ATV park. And he messaged me and he goes, "Hey man, we'd like for you to open up for Aaron Lewis in 2 months." And I just pick up the phone and I'm like, "Hey man," boom, boom, boom. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll give you $3,500. And I was like, so mind you, I wasn't making $3,500 a month, you know what I mean, at the time, you know what I mean, like 2 months, probably more like it. And so, yeah, I just, I hang up the phone and I look at the producer. I'm like, "You remember how to play drums?" He's like, "I haven't played them since high school." You know what I mean? I was like, "Well, you probably need to learn, because we just booked a concert with Aaron Lewis."
Sharpen up.
Hey, that's the only way to do it.
Yeah. And so we had one song. Yeah, we had one song ready. We had to come up with a 90-minute set, and I had to develop a band, and we did all that in 2 months' time. And man, we hit that show, and then after that, it just basically just gained momentum. And the whole Mud Park concert stuff was really a popular thing at that time. And we just dove in at the right time, and it just went from there. So that was like 2.5 years of just Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. And
yeah, and working through the week just to perform on the weekends. And
yeah, man. The coolest story about it is like, I was legit a prison guard at the time this shit started popping off. And this is facts. You can check this. You could ask some people. They get cell phones and stuff in the pen, obviously, right? Well, they had got a hold of the song, and I'm walking down the hall one day and I hear my song being rapped in the chow hall. No, I'm not lying. And I see the wardens and the major and all, and they're running and they're freaking out. And then a guy runs up to me and he's like, "Hey man, you got to go calm them down." And I'm like, "Why me?" You know what I mean? I don't want to go down there and calm them down.
I'm gonna go in there and let's get it.
I go in there to they asked me to just go in there. They're literally in there rapping my song, which was really powerful moment. And that when I walk in, they just go nuts. And it's just like, and I guess that feeling of just knowing you inspire people that don't really have no inspiration was where the addiction to being a musician kind of started at that time, because I was like, man, like, to make people feel better about themselves, that's cool, And so, yeah, I did music, and but then I realized, like, I don't really like the whole idea of trying to be competitive and be a musician and all that. I just enjoy making music,
Mm-hmm.
and like, I literally genuinely make like theme music to whatever my mood is, kind of. So this last album I done is Moonshiners Chuk. I haven't done music a whole lot. I just sparingly kind of do it, right? But doing all this stuff, being in the woods, really living this lifestyle, I was like, man, I want some music I can bump while I'm doing this kind of shit. And I like my country with a little bit of bass on the side, And so, hey, I just like I said, if you make moonshine and you like rap music, you'll like what I do, I guess, you know.
I mean, love what you do, man, and you can
Yeah,
definitely tell when the person who's passionate and enjoys doing what they do for no other reason than because it's what they love, you
yeah,
know. And
yeah,
and like you said, like you don't realize how powerful your words are, or you know your songs are until you touch somebody in a certain way. You know, like you don't understand the reach that you have as a moonshiner until somebody you have no idea who they are. They come up to you like, "Hey, man, I started moonshining because I watched your video and I loved it."
man.
And it was so simple and so easy. It made me want to do it. Now here I am. I make great liquor. You know, makes it hits you hard a different way, and it makes you feel like you ain't doing this for the money. This ain't about money. It's
Nah,
about the love. You know, and
yeah,
love what you do. You never work a day in your life.
Yep.
Um,
man. That's probably the most like from music to this TV stuff, like probably the coolest thing about the TV stuff for me, like legit. I'm from Gurdon, Arkansas. It's a shithole, you know, a lot of drugs, a lot of poverty, a lot of people just that can't see outside of that bubble. You know what I mean? And to know that I'm you know, doing something that'll maybe inspire like a little dude that like me that's, you know, ain't got a whole lot and comes from poverty and stuff to be like, man, I could probably be on TV. That alone is the coolest shit ever. You know what I mean? Like Sean, I know you relate. Like when you did that, just knowing people can see that and be like, damn, I can be on TV. You know. So
Yep.
that's dope, and it's fun, and it's the art of it all, man. Like our stash house is legit on the show. That's my great grandmother's home. You know what I mean? That the roads we're on riding, that's the roads we rode on since we was pups. You know, the creek we're on, that's the creek I grew up swimming in. That's like that art. You know, is the coolest thing I've ever really done, man.
So
These comments are very distracting, by the way, because I
yeah,
seen I
just
seen he
ignore
said
them.
Big E. Yeah, he said Big Easy touched me in a certain way too, and I was
Just
right in the
ignore
middle of my
'em.
big deep, you know, like this is why I love it speech, and I was like trying to keep my shit together.
Hey, we ignore the comments for the most part. We just post them up to make them feel special about themselves. So,
Oh
you
yeah,
got to throw them a bone every now and then. But
yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
So talk about your uh well, I guess what you can about your first time on TV when it comes to
Yeah,
Moonshiners or Master Distiller.
it's it. If
Because
you
I know
didn't
you come
see
on.
it right before the new season premiered, they had the Big Chuck episode, man, and it was nice. I enjoyed that. It was it's one of the best ones I've seen in a while. I really enjoyed that, and it,
thank
it
you,
was
man.
really awesome, man. Like, and when I saw Joe Boy climb inside that stainless pot, I was like, "Ain't no damn way!" See. I would have been with Josh, like, yeah, let's get something else, man. I ain't climbing in that.
Yeah, it was
I ain't
15
going in
inches.
nowhere.
It was 15 inches, and I swear to y'all, he's at least 30. So,
It's a
you know,
30. Damn
his
man, he's
belly's
home.
probably that big around, and that hole was that big. But Fat's malleable, so he was able to like fold and conform into the
Yeah.
little. It was. They really did show the essence of like we literally. I had to like wedge something in there and like pry his little love handle down so we could
Get the
slide him
butter,
on in.
Josh. Get the butter. Let's shove him in here. Spit
Yeah.
on him. Spit on him.
Well, I'll back it up. Like, so let me tell you, like, the master, how everything comes about is behind moonshine and it's behind the jar. And I was down in another state doing what I do. Again, I wasn't doing music, if you know what I mean. And a fella said, man, that's some really good liquor. You know what I mean? You ought to go compete on that competition show. And I go, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because again, you know how it is. First of all, if I just walk up to you and say, hey, I can get you on TV or you should do TV, you know, I just kind of blew it off. But the dude his name's Danny Beavers, and I try to give him a shout out all the time because if it wasn't for him, none of this would probably be happening. He was so diligent. He just started reaching out to people, like trying to figure out how to connect me with someone to be on the show, you know, and I guess he did a good job or whatever. And they reached out to me and I was running some liquor when I shot the little video the lady asked for, and bro, everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong in the audition video. Like my steel blew the line off and like vapor started shooting out. I kicked over two or three jars. It's just a whole big shit show. And then she had told me prior to the video, she was like, it might take a year or so. And then she called me back and she was like, can you come this weekend? I was like, oh, okay. So off I go to Master Distiller, and Sean, you've been there, man. It's a weird environment. It's a, you know, for somebody like me that don't do shit like that, just to walk in and it's like a well-oiled machine, you know. And at this point, they're turning out like I don't know how many episodes they got going at one time, but they're like it's like cattle coming in and out. It's like you seeing people come in, you seeing them go out. But it was neat though, man. You know,
staggering them.
And that episode that I was on airs January 30th too, so y'all check that out. It's
I'll be watching.
Hell yeah!
I solemnly swear I'm gonna do something on Master Distiller you've never in your life seen done.
Nice.
I promise you that.
Forward to that.
Yeah.
Now, have you done? I don't know what it is, but have you done it prior to the show?
Yeah, one time.
Okay.
I did it one time, and the first time I actually done it 2 times. The first time I done it, it didn't work, and the second time it worked. And I was like, all right, fuck it, we're going for it. You know what I mean? So we went for it, and yeah, I think it's a trip. I've never seen anybody personally do it, so unless I hadn't been paying attention. So
that's the beauty about this, man. You can do anything you want and try different shit, and everybody's got their way, and it doesn't have to be that way. You know, if you like the way I do it, then cool. If not, then shit, do it your own way.
Yeah, if you think back, like to me talking about my grandpa making that old hooch, that old jailhouse style hooch beer and all that kind of stuff, I've noticed that my moonshine recipes and stuff that I come up with are always like a product of just like on the spot decisions. You know what I mean? I'll be like, now I'm going to add this in there, and I'm going to add a little bit of this, and I'm going to stir a little bit of that, and that's just like you're seasoning, you know, food or something. I like to get real creative with it, and I don't have a consistent. I got a go-to, but I mean, I like to add a little pizzazz to it here and there, you know.
Well, and that's how you don't know if you like something unless you try it. You know, like you've definitely you got to experiment, man. You know, you might stumble across something that you love more than anything else, and then that becomes your go-to, and that's how you do something because you tried something new. Or you might be like, I don't like that, but then you know you ain't gonna do that again.
Yeah.
It's all about learning, man. Just keep learning.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, man.
Talk about that a big cap you got behind you, if you can.
Oh yeah, that's Josh built that one for me. That goes on our 700-gallon pot right there.
Nice.
And I'm gonna tell you,
gallon?
Man. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Water tank.
I mean, water tank.
Sounds like a good time.
Man, hey, again.
I might want to come. I might want to come down and sit in on that.
Hey, man, anytime any of y'all want to come to Arkansas, you're more than welcome. I'll definitely show you around and take you to a steel site, and we can have a good time. I didn't think Arkansas was all that cool, honestly. Like, I live here every day. I get sick of the mud and shit, but you bring down all these New Yorkers and all these film people, even Josh, Henry, all those guys. They come down here and they see all the swamps. They like the culture down here. They like how it is. It's a different world, man. I'll tell you, it's unlike anything I've ever seen. And I thought when I went to the Appalachian Mountains, I thought that's the prettiest thing I've ever seen in my life. You know, just everywhere you looked is like just something out of a magazine, you know.
Every time I go to Gatlinburg or go down to the Maggie Valley in North Carolina,
even an hour from us, Hocking Hills, you know.
Yeah, you get down to southern Ohio, it's just like it's always beautiful, you know. It's always beautiful. Ohio ain't so beautiful when it's cold. I'll tell you that.
What's the temperature like up there now?
Yeah, I think our nights are in the 20s, upper 20s right now, but we got a cold snap coming. So it's going to be stay inside cold. So the worst thing here is, man, it gets cold in the winter. I can't do anything. I don't like doing anything outside. Everything freezes and water hoses are frozen and I'm frozen and shit. I went out before and the mash has been frozen. Like, dude, I'm done, man. I'll see y'all in spring. I ain't fighting this. And everything is twice as hard when it's below freezing. You know, everything is twice as hard to do, and it just seems like it ain't worth it. So I retire in the wintertime for the most part.
Okay, Bennett.
So, what was the first mash you made?
Yeah.
Let's see. What was the first mash you made? You said you had that little small bever. What was your first mash you made for that?
Man, it was just corn liquor. I just ground down corn and put sugar to it, you know what I mean? And
Uncle
just
Jesse style, nice.
yeah. I didn't even know that I didn't get into like the nerdy part of it until, you know what I mean, I started getting more into the indoor distillation and because if you're doing volume, man, like realistically speaking, if you really want to be a volume guy with liquor, you can't do a bunch of brandies and shit, man. I mean, not on heavy volume, you know what I mean? So if
Yeah,
you're so way too much money to spend, you know, to unless you just love it, you know,
I
and
mean,
or you can get
the
the
only
fruit for free.
time I've done brandy in a big mass bulk is because the fruit falls into your lap.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Other than that, if you've got to come out of pocket for it's hard to come out of pocket for 300 pounds of apples.
Yeah.
You know, like
You sure
it's
are
hard to
right.
come out of pocket for hundreds of pounds of fruit, you know, it's because you're not sure. And you know, that's also why if you do get a real brandy in a distillery, it's pricey. You know, you pay for that
Yeah.
quality.
Yep. Or you
Yeah.
do by run. Like, you know, this is a run of, you know, peach brandy or whatever. So what's your
Man,
favorite
let me
thing to Yeah, go ahead.
on whenever y'all are running now, I ain't never did a whole lot of stuff with the thumper, to be honest with you. I'm a big non-thumper guy for the most part. I've got a big old thumper now. And I when I run it when I add like flavor to it or whatever, it seems like it kind of messes up the flow of the run a little bit. I just like it proofs it down right out the gate and it never really kind of picks up. What are y'all's advice on how to do all that thumper flavoring and all that kind of jazz?
Mix your flavor
With
with a
alcohol.
solid proof alcohol.
Okay.
That will help your run maintain its proof because you're not watering down. And so
Yeah.
like cut your flavor with some high proof alcohol. And then also we use what we call an infuser, where throughout your run you're constantly dumping flavor in throughout your whole run. And so as
So
you're
you like that
running,
thing?
oh, I love it. I love
I'm
it.
debating getting one of those things. I didn't know if it was worth the money or what. I mean, if it was good. Me and Sean
It's a
talked
game
about it a
changer.
little bit.
It's a
Okay.
game changer. We'll talk after the show. I'll tell you a couple tidbits that might help you save some money and get that a little cheaper for yourself.
Yep. And
All
just it'll be cooler.
Yeah.
And you know, like,
Awesome.
I like it. I like it because you know you're able to, I think by using that alcohol in there, it definitely helps you. It helps maintain and hold that proof all the way through, and keep it up there. Like you said, you're not tanking it by putting your flavor in, and
Yeah.
also like fruit concentrates. I think tend to be a little bit better than fruit, like fresh fruit, because it's got more flavor to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you can use, you know, fruit concentrate. You can use schnapps. You can use, you know, flavored vodkas. You can use extracts mixed with shit. I mean, it's endless, man.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
You can use anything that's got you a good strong flavor. It's going to carry over a lot more.
Okay.
So
So you could just sit there and kind of toy with it and find out little ways to layer it in there just right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
So
I
like
used to like on that apple pie, I used the little jar racks experimentally, and the way I realized how those things kind of worked is the stages. I
yeah.
would put the flavor in stages, and it would almost like that's how the drink would be. You know, like if I did apple pie, I'd do like some caramel or something in the first one, something, then some apples. You know, and then by the time you'd be like, oh, I got caramel on the front, apple on the back. You know, and it was so I used to have fun with that, but you know, again, it was just when I'm just sitting around kind of hobby crafting, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. Once you get into that bigger shit, it's kind of
Yeah, corn.
Ye-
Just put your
yeah.
damn corn in there. Just grind up a
Yeah.
bunch of corn. That's all you got
Yep.
to do. I hate grinding up corn sometimes, man. It takes it's all fun and games till you got to sit out there and grind up 300 or 400 pounds of corn. You know what I mean? And I got one
So
of them
So,
little small tabletop meals, you know, and it takes about a milk jug full of corn each time. Then it takes about a minute to grind through that. And it's
Yeah.
yeah, you're talking about a
Yeah.
long day.
I got one of those blue ones off Amazon, like 200.
Yeah, that's what I got. Yeah.
Man, don't chew through some corn, but yeah, like
I
you
like to
sit
get
there.
mine ground up.
Yeah, see if you can get it from the farmer, you get it ground up. Just don't have me go pick it up.
Yeah.
And throw it in the back seat.
Yeah, put it in the back seat and drive back from Pennsylvania. That was a hell of a time. I was vacuuming corn dust out of that truck for a week.
Oh yeah, by the time you get done with that little blue rig, boy, it looks like a ghost. You look like a ghost. It just throws shit everywhere. I rigged up like a trash sack and a pipe on it so it would kind of feed into the bucket. But if you just let it roll, it'll paint everything with corn dust.
I put half a sock on there and just to try to keep that dust down. And it's still, man, it don't matter. You get covered in corn dust. So
yeah. But it's a pretty good little rig. It just I want to try to get something a little bit more heavy duty though, quicker, or at least less management. I had more of a feed, you know, where you could put 50 pounds in it at once and just let it feed down like that.
Let it do its thing instead of dumping a little bit at a time.
I guess you could probably rig up something on one of them little small ones, you know?
Yeah, you could definitely put a much bigger hopper on one if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like flip a keg upside down, cut the bottom out of it, and you got your little feed hole or something like that. You know, it goes as far as your imagination could go. So, so what kind of yeast do you prefer to use?
Man, I like just active dry bread yeast, so Fleshman's bread yeast, man. You know, just to me, like the way I like to do a good corn, I'll do a 3 grain, and rye and barley, and then sometimes I'll get a little creative and throw some wheat in it or some raisin bran. I like putting that in there. I don't know if y'all ever toyed with that.
Mm-mm.
And then I'll hit it with that bread yeast, man, and it puts a hell of a nose on it. I can say that much. And it's just like, man, just like anything else that you indulge in, if it smells really good, you know what I mean? You're going to want to drink it or whatever, you know? And so I try to shoot for a really good nose.
Yep.
Yeah. That's my goal is, and I'm real adamant when I tell them to smell, I always open the jar for them and let it breathe. You know what I mean? Because I want them to get that. When they go over it and they smell that little spice and all that mixed with that corn, they're like, "Ooh, that smells delicious," you know. Then you got it sold, dead. You know, it ain't no.
Like you said, you got to let it breathe first, because when you first open it up, it is just straight high proof alcohol and it burns your nostrils, and that could be a little off putting for somebody that doesn't really understand. So
I mean, when you hand one of these to just your average civilian, right, and they're non-moonshiner, if you will, the first thing they do is go. Just like that, you know what I mean? And it just whoa, and then they're like, "Ooh, hell no!" Because this the stigma with moonshine, man. Like I don't know if y'all have to deal with this shit, but it's like I have to literally listen to them. They're like, "Oh no, that's gasoline. That's bad." And you're like, "Man, this is way better than liquor store shit." You know what I mean? Like if you're drinking that old McCormick vodka or whatever bullshit, you know what I mean? Like try this and see what you think.
See, what we get up here a lot is people that drank moonshine, it was always Everclear, and so they're like, they expect it to be gasoline, and it's like man, it ain't supposed to be like that, you know. Like
I love the
190 proof.
That's what I'm saying. I love the people that are like, "Oh well, I get that 180." I'm like, "Oh yeah," and they're like, "Yeah, I love that's what I drink." I'm like, "Okay, well, here, hit this," and then they take it and they fucking start. I'm like, "Bro, that's 150."
I'm always like, let me watch you drink a pint of 180. I'll wait.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah.
I'll wait.
Yeah, it's like I've so, and with having no moonshine influence in Arkansas, like it's even harder because like a lot of the people that sell moonshine around here, it's literally just pure grain alcohol mixed with Kool-Aid. So it's like when you go up with clear jar of liquor and you're like, try this out, they're like, oh hell no. You know what I mean? that other guy's moonshine's way better than this. His tastes like Kool-Aid. They think that the whole contraption is moonshine. They don't understand what actual clear liquor is. So you have to almost educate people. I got a few people that know what good quality liquor is. I ain't gonna hate on all of Arkansas, but it ain't like Appalachia where you got, or in somewhere where there's more of that going on. Like people down here are just really naive to it. So
we're up in Ohio. Like we're on the very farthest edge of Appalachia you could get. Like once you get away from where we're at, it ain't no but flat. It's flat north, it's flat west, but you go east and south a little bit, and you get into the foothills. You get down into the rolling hills, and so you get up here into the big cities, and a lot of people they're always
it's like a myth,
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, I've never had that before. I've had the Old Smoky, and I've had the Sugar Lands.
So but don't you hate when you get compared to those? Like I've had that Old Smoky. You're like,
me too. You got it at the gas station. That shit was 20 proof and 90% flavoring. Like this ain't the same, man.
Yep.
It's a small batch quality.
Man,
I put my heart and soul into this,
bro. That's what I try to tell people, man. When they if you're out here trying to make a living with it, and they're like trying to just jog your prices down, I'm like, man, you realize like I spent 2.5 days making this shit. You know what I mean? Like essentially, right? You mash in, and that's pretty much a day. Like you got to grind corn and all that crap, or mash fruit or whatever it is you're doing. You're making mash. You're waiting on that to ferment. You're babysitting that off and on, making sure everything's going how it's supposed to. Then you're pumping, and it depends on your situation. The indoor shit, man, is madness because you got to figure out a way to keep your worm cool and all that kind of jazz. And by the time to produce a jar of liquor, you know what I mean? And then for them to go, nah, man, I don't want to pay no more than $20 for that. You're like, son of a bitch.
It's like anything else, man. You pay for what you get. Like you pay for what you get. You want to pay $20? Go get that 20 proof flavor. Concentrated fake flavoring from the gas station or Walmart, your local ABC store. Like it'll get you drunk, but you ain't going to enjoy it like this. Like my liquor, you ain't going to get a hangover from. You're going to go in.
Next day, that sugar's going to bite you.
Oh man.
I'm telling you that the best liquor I've had has been from guys like yourself. Just let me try it. The gentleman that I compete with on the show was some of the best stuff. He did some really creative stuff, and it was some of the best no's I've ever experienced in liquor. And I go to these distilleries, which I understand the TTB or whatever you call them people restrict them from using a lot of the same ingredients we get to use, but. I just did a little tasting the other day just to go kind of sniff around and see what that lifestyle's like, and just nothing, no character, man, unless they put a false flavoring in it, if it's banana cream or some shit, you know what I mean? Like, then you're like, oh, that smells like banana cream, you know what I mean? Like, but like their white lightning or whatever, their corn liquor is just didn't have no punch to it, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's good liquor. It just didn't have that character that I see whenever I see small batch homebrew type stuff.
You said it right there, small batch, man. I say it all the time. The home distiller, the backwoods distiller, we're putting something into our liquor that the big distilleries aren't, and it's love. It's a part of me in every jar that I make. That's got my blood, sweat, and tears in it. And if I don't think it's great, I'm not going to hand it to somebody else. It's got to be the best thing I've produced in order for me to hand Sean a jar of my liquor. Because if it sucks, I'm going to hear about it for a month and a half. I know that. And that's what I expect. But, I'm going to take the time and put in the effort to make the best quality thing I can make.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I'll dump that shit. If it ain't to my liking, I'll just fill up a bucket and just dump it back in the next run.
I'll rerun it. Or, I'll turn it into flavor.
There you go.
I'm mixing this with Kool-Aid. You won't know it sucks.
Yeah.
But
apple pie, if I'm going to hand you a jar of
clear, it's going to be the best jar I've ever made. And that's
Hey,
just
I'll
the
tell
way
you
it
how
is.
you know you're dealing with a real moonshiner, man. Is if you ever go get a jar of apple pie, if you don't smell heads in that shit, you ain't dealing with a real shiner because he'll take his heads and shit and make apple pie and shit with it. He'll be like, "Yeah,
Heads,
I'll make y'all
tails,
some."
everything.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, though
I-
that good quality cut, them hearts is gonna be put over there to the side, but that apple pie
yeah,
gonna get made out of that other funky shit. That's
you
every
know,
time a moonshiner's like, I got apple pie. If I can smell a little head on it, I say heads on it. I'm like, yeah, okay, I got you. Yeah, you are a real shiner. You know what I mean? You don't want
I've
to
been to
waste that
several
quality.
distilleries, and they all take their tails and they use them in their sipping creams, chocolate
Hmm.
milk, things like that. Because they're like, man, that's because I'm like, well, I saved my tails and I rerun it. Like, nah, man, it's too much money to waste. I've got 10 gallons of tails. That's going in my flavor. It's going in my sipping
Yeah,
creams. And
yeah. That's your new
and
little
you know,
sparkling beverage that they come out with. It's gonna be made
yep.
out of tails or some
And
shit.
it's like, and that's why just the next day you're like, oh damn, I don't know about that.
Yeah, yeah,
It ain't
you're right.
like a nice jar of hearts. You could sip on that
We
thing
were
all
we
night
were
long.
talking about that the other day, man. We were talking about like you see these cigarettes, they'll come out with like special blend, or they'll have like a different cut of some dip, and you're like, you know what that is. It's like, well, hey, we got all this tobacco left. Let's just mix it all up and call it the special blend or whatever,
Hey,
you know.
look, sweep up everything on the floor, put it in there, and
Yeah.
call it special blend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a genius idea. Somebody like, why are we wasting that? Hell, let's put a label on it and call it some same thing with liquor. They ain't gonna throw nothing away if they got money they can
That's
make
right.
off of it. So yeah, that's why I like to control what I'm making and taste it. And if it ain't good, I know it ain't good and I don't have to let nobody even try it, But making a good jar of liquor is a good feeling, when you really just make a good classy jar of liquor and you done it. And I think the alchemy from corn to liquor is always been real fascinating too, to take a grain and convert that into something to drink and it can intoxicate you. Oh, that's a trip, really, if you think about it. And I think that when you finally nerd out and you really get into it and you start thinking about what you're actually doing, it's
You
that
understand when
that's
you
where the
understand the
fascination.
magic. Yep. When you understand
Yeah,
the magic part of it, you're like, dude, this is amazing.
Yeah,
And
but
then
yeah,
you look back and you're like, holy shit, I made this. I made
yeah,
this.
exactly.
You're like, I can't believe that I made this.
I remember when I first started just really making quality, I would just get a jar and I just go everywhere I could think about. Somebody could see this jar of liquor, just be like, try that, smell it. You know what I mean? Shake it up, look at the bubbles. Hell, at the time, I didn't even know what the hell that meant. I'm just shaking jars and look at the bubbles, look at them. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
And we were all trained by watching these other things. Like nobody was down here teaching me how to shake jars or nothing. You know what I mean? I see that on TV, and I'm like, oh, you're supposed to shake it and look at it. Now I understand it all, but it's moonshine's just always going to be cool, man. No matter what, it's always going to be fascinating because at one time you got to imagine, man, guys like us would have been hunted like dogs. You know what I mean, for what we do, and it was so like illegal in America and taboo that so the fascination, it'll never leave people because at one time this was all we focused on as a country was trying to get people like us. So hey,
Yep.
yep,
as long
And it
as
wasn't for no other reason than the big man wants his cut, and that's all it's all
yep,
about.
and that's
man,
in my opinion, that's one of the things I really love the most about it is helping people get started doing it that
yeah,
want to, and just passing the knowledge, I guess, the little bit that I have.
Mm-hmm.
mhm,
Most of what I have is what not to do
yeah,
Been there.
because I spent so much time fucking things up.
yeah. I got
But
you. I'm with you.
you learn from every one of those failures, and what's the point of spending the time and gaining that knowledge if you don't pass it on to the next person?
Exactly, it's wasted.
Not
Yeah,
Yep, knowledge gained and not freely spread is knowledge wasted.
Yep.
And
there you
how do you
go.
keep traditions alive, or how do you keep this tradition going? And even though I'm not in the backwoods, I'm not in the hills, it's still a part of the tradition. You're keeping it alive. You're showing the next generation how it's done. Who 6-7 years ago, like you said, it was taboo. There was nobody out there showing you and telling you how to do it And so with the internet age, it's there. Just like anything else, you can learn anything on how to do anything that you want to do. You just have to have the drive and the love to do it.
Yeah.
And the first time you see that liquor come out,
it's over with. Yeah, you ain't lying.
Yep.
I still have a picture somewhere of the very first time liquor dripped out of a spout for me. I remember how cool it was to finally see that happen and know you did it. It just, I was hooked at that point. And I think just, like when to show people, and then I tell a lot of dudes, it's like older guys like myself, that's kind of at that place in their life where they need a little stimulation, like something to do. Like this is usually the time when people start getting them an old car to restore or something like that. I'm like, man, get into moonshine. It's so much stuff to learn, and like you said, Sean, and I don't know half of all the stuff you guys probably know. I just understand the simple concept.
That ain't setting the bar real high.
But at the same time, like people that get into this, it gives them an outlet. It gives them something to focus on. And for me, I'd go as far, not to get too crazy with it, but to say like, man, it took me through some of the darkest parts of my life, man. Like it's giving me something to like look forward to, and so, man, at one time it was my pain and then it became my passion, you know what I mean? And to flip that narrative around and be able to get on the backside of the drinking instead of letting the drinking take me, and man, I just, I love it. And it's great. I mean, I show my kids stuff. I mean, they know what's up. They know whenever that old D-Walk drill comes out, it's time for them to go stir up some ash, you know what I mean? And like they know what's
easy.
up, Yeah. Well,
got to get the hoe out.
Yeah, got to get the hoe out.
Yeah. Fucking hoe. Oh, they've paid their dues. They've my son, he gets, I give him a little old chunk of change, and his job is to take old spunt mash and dump it out on the deer lease and stuff. He gets the drive to go do it. You know what I mean? So it's exciting for him. But hey, lugging them big old barrels and dumping and then he's got to clean everything. So he knows how to clean a steel pot. He knows how to, they know their way around a little bit. And I ain't ashamed of that, hell.
Yep.
It's cool to me.
There's I was gonna say this. There's a buddy of mine. His name's Tony, and he passed last year. It's one thing he always told me. He said, "You'll never go hungry if you have a 20-gallon still."
Right.
And time to run it. And he wasn't lying. And that's what a lot of these kids they will never know.
Yeah.
Unless you teach them. I mean, just because you have something don't mean you're using it.
Right. But doesn't mean you can't. I always gonna keep. I keep me a stick burner for barbecuing and shit because I can always cook on that, and I keep me a moonshine still because I know how to make money with that, and I know how to feed myself with the other, and then and I can do the rest. So yeah, hell yeah, man, you got to keep a still. When I bought my first big like highfalutin still from Kevin Gordon, shout out to Thunder Road Copper, I bought 110 from him. When I bought that still, and and I spent a chunk of cheese on that, and everybody's like, "What the hell? You're crazy, man! Why would you spend that much on that?" I said, "Man, if shit gets real, and this is during a time where shit looked like it might be getting real, you know what I mean?" I was like, "I know what I can do with this thing, it'll be a cash cow," and that's just how you got to look at it, And,
investment.
You got to have plan B's and C's nowadays, man, because you just never know what's going to come around the corner, Like,
damn right.
Like, let's be for real. When COVID hit, everybody freaked the hell out because the liquor stores didn't have very much liquor in them, and we're all over here like, "What are you talking about? I ain't got no liquor." Like I got all the liquor I need. So.
Yeah.
But,
and hand sanitizer. I don't know if y'all got in on that racket, but boy, I hit some licks on that shit too.
Yeah, that popped off. Like that's why there wasn't no liquor. Everybody was making hand sanitizer.
I got a really good story about that. I don't know if I should probably incriminate myself, but let's just say at the time where I was working at needed hand sanitizer, and I said I knew a guy, but I was the guy. You know what I mean?
Always know.
I went home, Googled how to make hand sanitizer out of alcohol, and I whipped up a big 5-gallon bucket of it.
Hey, that's the funny thing. You said you don't know you got a guy. Well, that's like Easy
Yeah.
always says. He says, when I go to a party and I take liquor, I don't tell them I make it.
Yeah.
I tell them I got it. That way they're honest. They give you honest opinions. If they know you make it, they're going to be like, oh, this is
You damn
great.
right.
Especially
That's a good
when
idea.
especially when you're a big dude, they don't want to piss you off because they don't want
Yeah.
they don't want you mad at them. So the best way to get honest feedback is say, hey man, I got this jar of liquor from a buddy. Try it and tell me what you think, and you'll get a much more honest feedback. And to talk about hand sanitizer during Corona, I distilled Corona beer during COVID. I distilled Corona beer and made hand sanitizer from Corona beer.
That is epic. That's super epic.
It
Yeah.
tasted like when it came out of the still, it tasted like old, stale, musty Corona beer.
Did you throw that fucker away or what?
Well, I made hand sanitizer out of it.
No,
man.
I'm talking about the still. I'm talking about the still.
Oh no, man, that was a stainless beverage. You just rinse that son of a bitch out, and you good to go.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was looking at.
Copper.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was looking at that little thing on the show with running that beer. I was wondering about that. I mean, essentially you could, but I don't know.
The thing about running beer is just the hops and the oils, and it's just it makes your copper so nasty.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna run beer, I suggest you do it in stainless and run it about 37 times. It'll taste all right then, and then use it to make apple pie with. So,
there you go. I've got some good apple pie liquor here. I got you.
I acquired a full keg of old IPA, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna make a video. I'm gonna turn this keg into beer, into moonshine. So I throw a little arm.
Brewshine.
Yep, Brewshine. And so I threw a little 1-footer arm on it and a little bitty Liebig, and I start cooking it. And man, that thing started foaming out of the end of it. It is just spewing. That part ain't in the video. But
Imagine that.
It's just spewing foam out of the end. And I'm like, I've never puked a still before. It wasn't puking. It's just foaming from all that IPA. And I let it sit, and I tried to let it degas, and it didn't help, man. My recommendation is it's not worth your time. It's only 5%. And that's, and just don't waste your time with beer unless you really love the taste of old skunky beer. Because I did a Milwaukee's Best. That was the first ever brew shine I made was Milwaukee's Best.
Couldn't have picked a better beer, huh?
Hey,
boy,
it was
Lord have mercy.
So I rolled down. I rolled down to the Amir Mart, and it's like 8:30 in the morning, and I grabbed 230 racks of Milwaukee's Best ice, and these dudes are looking at me like this is a hardcore alcoholic, and so I put them on there, and I roll with my cousins, and I wake him up, and I'm like, bro, let's make liquor out of beer, and so we're cracking these cans open and dumping it in a still. And we made it, and it was the worst liquor I've ever tasted in my life. And it was a good time. So it was. But, you
I've
you
never
don't
thought
know
that would...
unless you try.
I've done all kinds of trial and error type stuff, man. I want to try to make any kind of crazy stuff you can think of, especially when I messed around and got those jars. Hell, I might have got them from you. Do you sell shit on eBay or something?
Are you talking about jar lids?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I probably bought them from you. I bought them off eBay or something a long time ago. They were, I want to say they might have been from you. Anyway, they, when I got those though,
they got hose clamps on them.
That's special builds, John. Hose clamps come with special builds.
I like
them for jar rigs.
Hose clamp done fixed America for a long time.
Yeah, hose clamp, duct tape, zip ties. That's all you need. So, and a hammer.
Got all three of them on my side by side right now because you just never know. You know what I mean?
So you had some experience with jar rigs. When you was running that jar rig, did it start dancing on you?
Yeah, it was
side to side.
Yeah, it would vortex. It would do weird stuff. Like I could never understand. Like sometimes I would get like, it would look like it was working harder on the one side than the other and stuff like that. And it just
so you had yours parallel. And,
yeah.
So when your jars are run parallel, it's natural for one side to work harder than the other.
Yeah.
So what you do is you throw a 3-way valve right there to where they split, so you can adjust your flow side to side and balance it out.
Or just run it in series.
Or just run them in a series, one right after another.
I enjoyed them. You know, it's a lot of cleanup and stuff, you know, and all that, but it was really fun to like get experimental. Like I'd be like, I'm gonna make some blueberry oatmeal, whipping cream. You know what I mean? Liquor today. And
First time I ran a jar rig, man, it was just a 3-jar rig, and that thing just sitting there dancing. And I'm like, man, I don't know about this. I don't know about that, man. Propane burner, glass, you know, alcohol, and the jars are just dancing.
Turn it up.
Turn it up. I don't know about that. Just turn it up, man.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, when that pressure starts building and shit starts shaking and vibrating, you're like, oh shit. You know what I mean? I'm gonna tell you that on that 150 I got in here, that's so much that thumper really goes to do, you know, because it's kind of the copper's kind of flimsy where that pipe goes in, and it starts really like ginning. It's like do. Yeah, it's pretty intense. Like it'll scare other people. I'm used to it, but other people will be like, "Man, is that thing gonna blow up?" You know,
50-gallon drums. Every time they have a point where they're like, "Boom,
yeah,
boom," and I remember I got my first 50 from Sean, and he's like, "Hey, man, at some point that thing's gonna go boom, and it's gonna scare the hell out of you." And I'm like, "All right, cool. I'm expecting it." You know, Sean told me about it, and
I shouldn't have.
That thing, it didn't matter. You did, because
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
it was like boom, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I was dead. Like everything flashed before my eyes. My life. It was just a lot of me eating junk food and trash. But and then every time it still does it. You know, every time I would run it still does it, and every time it scares the shit out of you. And it's like I'm dead, and then it's not. You're like, oh, it's just doing its thing. You know, it got pressure in it. Boom. And, you know, you run that 50-gallon, man, that thing will scare the hell out of you one time a run.
Oh, yeah. I've had a cap pop plumb off and shoot up in the air because the line got backed up, and it just, boom, shot up in the air like that. You talk about scare you. And I wasn't expecting it either.
How did your line get backed up? Did you have a piece of fruit clog it, or was it
I don't know how much detail I can get in on this, but yeah. I mean, some solids got in there, you know what I mean, and but it was pretty crazy. I've also I've experienced that on that jar rig. Same shit, kind of similar happened. I was running little blackberries, not blackberries, blueberries.
Oh fuck!
And you know how they're just the right size, especially for like some 3/8 line or whatever. You know, they'll lodge right up in there, and I did that, and it backed up like that, and it stopped ginning down the line, you know, and I was like, oh shit. And it started vibrating, and I just went up there and just broke it loose, you know, and let the steam blow out or whatever. But
I was gonna say, we had another guy on here early on. I think it was blueberries. I'm gonna have to ask
blueberry?
You.
So there was. I've heard it's always usually a blueberry or a raisin.
Yep.
It'll get up into that worm line. You won't know it. So I never use solid fruit. I puree it. And my thumpers, I puree them, because if it pukes, well, that puree is just going to push through.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to worry about it getting clogged up like that. Yeah. And so, you know, and that's always one of my fears, is because you don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's just running. You don't see it jump up in there, and then all of a sudden you got a pressure cooker with no release valve on it. And only, like you said, you know, luckily, you know, you were running a paste style still, and it popped that cap off. Whereas if you had if it was all tri-clamp, well,
it'd been boom.
One of your seams are probably going to fail first before that tri-clamp does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, like, people have to understand how dangerous big volume is compressed like that, like a boiler, you know, like you hear these stories about boilers exploding and like taking out like a damn whole building and shit like that. Like, nothing to play with, man. Like I'm telling you, it's all fun and games until something goes wrong, and it's just, you just always got to be like, and the biggest freaky, like, is if that son of a bitch, the fire goes out, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're busting stuff loose, and if you're all pasted up with, like, if you got 90s just sucked up on each other with paste, and you got towels around it, and so the first thing I always go for is the cap, and just bust the cap off the top, because you know, and then
that paste is like concrete. When that paste gets hard, It is like concrete. I learned that, the first time I ran a pace still, and I'm like, what do I do? Like what do I do? Now I'm trying to get it loose and all that. I couldn't get it loose, and so I put a union on after that. That way I could just pop it. So it definitely a Landry valve on any type of still, unless it's a keg, you don't need one. Any type of still, man, put you a valve on there. Better safe than sorry,
Yeah.
So I was messing with Sean. I'm like, bro, I'm buying a valve. I ever run your still, I'm buying a valve. So
yeah, hey, I'll tell you, it can go wrong, and it will go wrong.
Yeah.
If somebody ain't, if there's anybody watching this that wants to get into moonshine, it's probably the coolest hobby I've ever had. But man, trial and error is you just got to understand what you're signing up for. It's not just like, you can do some damage if you make too many mistakes. So if you're accident prone,
or the right one,
man, be careful, because
as a kid, when somebody's teaching you how to make fires or you're around a campfire, they always tell you, man, respect that fire, because the first time you don't respect it, it will burn the shit out of you. It ain't no different than making liquor. It ain't no different than making liquor. The first time you don't show it the respect it deserves, it's going to burn you. And, and if you only get burnt a little bit, then you better count your blessings.
Yeah. And take it from me, a guy that poured a 5-gallon bucket of damn 140 proof liquor on top of a coal. It is highly combustible. It will explode without.
Especially when
I think the only thing that saved me is that the steel like shaped the flame upright. You know what I mean? And it just was like woof. And I was kind of pouring over on top of it, so it just blew the bucket out of my hand. But otherwise, it probably would have killed me or burnt my face off or something, and so
you definitely wouldn't have that beard, that's for sure.
No, that's what I was thinking about. Yeah,
it'd have grown back by now.
Yeah.
You would be.
I'd have been my luck. It'd just balded one side of it or something. I'd been half
patchy like my boy Hooch.
Sir Patch a lot.
or you wind up with a haircut like mine. So
yeah, there you go. Easy to manage, huh?
That's right.
That's right.
But
I don't know. I gotta shave. I shave the face. I gotta shave the head. Sean's just easy to manage. Like your beard, hair, that's easy. You just get up and go.
Yeah, just throw a hat on. Boom.
Sean looks a lot better with a beard, anyways.
You ain't lying.
Yeah, you don't want to see this gobbler underneath this right here, boy. I'm telling you.
That's why I told the old lady I got a beard to cover up my 3 chins.
There you go.
If I grow a beard, it's all gray and I look like Father Time. Like
that's cool.
I unaged 10 years when I shave, so
yeah.
And
I got them coming in. It won't be long. I'll be all grayed up.
When they start coming, they roll. You could always do like my double cousin and hit it with some Just for Men. It'd be all purple and shit.
I'm glad you have a double cousin too. Could you imagine all the inbred comments and things I'm getting? I told Joe
time,
boy.
Every time I'm like, our mothers are our sisters and our dads are brothers, and I'm like, he's inbred and he's got webbed feet, and I don't. So, it's hard to explain that. That's for sure.
Yeah. I dodged it. You know what I mean? I dodged the old chromosome shift. So we, I told Joe Boy, when he first read it, because we said it jokingly at the beginning of whenever they said they were going to come down here and check us out or whatever, and just see how we were, doing things. And I was like, only one condition, I want to do it with my cousin. And I was like, he's my double cousin, Joe Boy. And I sent over a little quick video. Now, Joe Boy, one thing everybody needs to know about Joe Boy is he don't come out of the woods very much at all. And to uproot him from his lifestyle and put him in front of all these cameras has been a challenge for me, for sure, because he's really the dude that he portrays. You know what I mean? Like, none of this is I can't make this shit up. And so when he reads the first article and it's like double cousins from Arkansas, and he's like, oh no, they're calling us inbred, and I was like, I was like, well, let's lean into it, man. Let's have fun with it,
I did like how they let you explain what the double cousins was, One family got with another family. And and that's what it was. It wasn't like, oh yeah, well, my dad's really my uncle, my mom's really it ain't like that, It's just like two brothers got with two sisters, boom, they had two kids, we double cousins. So
I'll tell you, man,
I still tell everybody he's inbred.
Yeah, there you go. And watching that special, bro, y'all have no earthly idea. It took us 5 weeks consecutively to shoot that 1 hour special. And so much shit is not in that special that was some of the hardest days of my entire life. For instance, that still we found that in the middle of a junkyard surrounded by just old industrial size, like central heat and air units and cars and shit. And it's just literally just stuck out there in the very middle. And they're like, all right, we want to film y'all like getting it out. You know what I mean? So we're lugging that big son of a bitch out, and it's stainless, it's thick stainless. You know what I mean? It's an old chiller from a factory. Yeah, it's a chiller from a factory. And bro, we would haul it over all that shit and get it to the truck, and then be like, all right, one more time. You know what I mean? All right, one more time. So we were taking it back and hauling it back. I'm like, man, hell,
beauty of TV.
Get the production crew in here to carry it back.
We're gonna build one. Fuck this.
My back ain't built for this shit. Like.
And
there's a reason
God
why I
bless
use
him, man. Trust me, I was about to die. And listen, Josh Owen, that's my buddy. So I mean, this was all love in my heart, but that sucker right there could make that obstacle even more challenging, because the entire time he's talking shit, complaining. Why the fuck are we using this stainless steel pipe? This is the ugliest damn steel I've ever seen. I'm not picking this son of a bitch up. No. And we're literally about to fight the entire time as we're lugging it over. I'm like, just do it, man. We got to get it over there. You know what I mean?
Get it done.
And he is exactly like Josh is exactly how he looks on TV. Like there's that dude is 1000% reckless. I knew like the first time when we walked up to, I was showing him the creek, like where we run at and stuff. And I was like, this is where we get our water. And like when we walk up, it's just like a little ridge. It's like probably a 12-foot drop off of it. Of course, I go whittling down the little trail, and Josh just comes through there and just like flies off like Tarzan and jumps on the ground. I'm like, why did you just do that? You know what I mean? He's like, I don't know. It just looked like fun. And I was like, crazy son of a bitch. So he's that dude, man.
Hey,
and that's actual factual.
Like his bigger feller, you got to pick your route a little more, because I fall a lot harder than a little guy. So I got to pick my route a little more safely.
I have lost a lot of weight, big dog, but I know all about fat boy strategic planning. You know what I mean? Like before you sit down, you identify what chair is sturdy enough for you to sit in, and you even test it.
Is your mortal enemy. Like wicker, thin plastic.
I've exploded one of those son of a bitch before. You know what I mean? I've exploded those plastic chairs before, so I have a fear of those things. If you look at the leg and it's like, say it's a green plastic chair, and you look at the leg and it looks a little white right there in that bin, you better not sit in it, boy. I'm telling you, you're gonna be embarrassed. I've been there, I've done it. You don't want them problems,
you can only blame it on alcohol so many times. Like, damn, alcohol got me again.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
But no.
Well, boys, I think we've had everybody on long enough tonight. But
I can sit here and talk all night, so it's been a while.
Hell yeah.
Big Chuk, brother, we really appreciate you giving us your time, giving us your Monday night to come hang out with us and shoot the shit, man.
Yeah, man.
Like I said, man, I love what you do, bro. You're an amazing musician. I can't wait to try your liquor so I can tell you what an amazing moonshiner you are. And, I really look forward to seeing you on the Discovery Channel. And
we're going to have to get together sometime. We're going to make this happen.
Hell yeah. We got to go down there. You don't want to come up here right now, so. I'll come down there in shorts and a t-shirt.
Man. I'll show y'all a great time, man. Whether it's summer or winter, I can show y'all some stuff. Y'all, if y'all hunt and fish and like to ride side by side, we'll go out and have a damn good time.
Hell yeah, I would be honored to catch a show. I would love to come catch a show. So we'll have to.
Man. Hey, it's always always an interesting day down here in Arkansas. We try to always do something a little different. But man, hey, before I get off here. Moonshiner Chuk album out. Ozark Outlaws to the Rescue. Go stream that. I don't know when we're coming back in the season, but we've been filming a whole bunch of shit, some really cool stuff. I can't speak for all the Moonshiners, but I can tell you when they came down here to Arkansas, it wasn't no fiction related television. So stay tuned, and man, I'm trying to keep this show as real as I possibly can, and I'm trying to really, trying to just give y'all the raw truth down here in Arkansas, and I hopefully y'all be able to see that when y'all watch it, man. And I appreciate y'all for having me on, man.
And we appreciate your time, man. And like I said,
Anytime.
y'all check out the shows, man. If you didn't watch the one before, the very first one, you guys to catch that. It's a good one. So, check his music out. You'll be glad you did. So, everybody, man, we thank y'all. We'll be back next week. So y'all have a great week, man. And we'll see y'all next Monday. Have a great night. Everybody shine on. Stick around, Chuck. Don't leave. Don't leave when we turn off the live.